Welcome to Elliott's PT podcast. I'm here to help you find your balance and live your best life guilt-free. I don't believe there is a one-size-fits-all approach for health and fitness. We're all different and we need to find out what works for us. I'm passionate about helping people make realistic, long-term lifestyle changes that they will stick to and they will take with them forever. I don't believe in crazy diets or short-term fixes. We all need to live and find a perfect balance in diet and exercise that suits our individual needs. I want to help you find your exercise mojo, feel great and achieve wonderful things. Here is Elliott's PT podcast by Renae Elliott. Hello and welcome back to Elliott's PT podcast. Today I wanted to come on and I wanted to talk about the strategies that I put into place when COVID hit our household. So a couple of weeks ago, my husband woke up, it was a Monday morning, he woke up and he just felt terrible. And he just felt terrible. So, you know, in the Sunshine Coast where we are living, COVID has become quite dominant around the town, around the area. So we have been luckily up to this point that we had been quite sheltered from it all. But anyway, my husband woke up this morning and he wasn't feeling very well, and he kind of something he hadn't felt before. So he went and got himself tested, and we had to isolate from that point on. So at that point when it happened, the government has guidelines that were saying that any close contacts or whatever have to isolate for 7 days. So obviously that was fine. It took 3 days for us to get the confirmation that he actually did have COVID, but deep down he did think instinctively that he had it. But what I wanted to talk about today was the things that I put into place from finding out about that, and how the things I did to cope with, I guess, a little bit of a stressful situation. And I just think if it could help somebody else, that would be amazing. So through the things that I've always learnt through, from all my years of doing stuff, and I took all my strategies and I put them into place for that week, and I tried to make it a stress-free week. Obviously, my kids were home as well, and we couldn't leave our house for the 7 days. So when first found out, obviously there was worry and fear. My husband has an autoimmune condition, so I wasn't sure how it would be for him. He was quite unwell, so I wasn't sure the outcome of that. I also was not sure how it would affect him mentally as well. So there was that worry in the back of my mind, and also there was the worry of would I catch it or would my kids catch it, and how we would all cope. So like I said, we have been quite sheltered from it all in Queensland here. So what I did is I put up a barricade, I put up like a table. People laughed at me saying that I did that, but I put up a table that split our house. So he just stayed, he actually couldn't get out of bed anyway, but he stayed in the front of the house, and we just stayed in the back of our house. So we're lucky with our house, we could kind of separate us in that way. So that's what we did, obviously trying to give ourselves the best chance of not spreading it to more people, and anyone else feeling sick. So I put out this barricade, that's fine, and we explained to the kids that that this was that Dad was not well, and that we would just do this while Dad had this, so then we wouldn't get it. So that was fine. Now I knew that I was fortunate enough that I can take my classes online. So I did that, and everybody came online, which was amazing. And can I tell you, having my classes and having that forced exercise every day was amazing. It was the best thing. There was one day, I think, so this was a Monday, and I think it was a Thursday morning. So Lee found out Wednesday night that he had the COVID, he found out that he had it. And Thursday morning, I just woke up and I felt quite down. And I wasn't, I just felt a bit down, and I just did. And then I had a class, and I wanted to cancel, but I have a policy of never cancelling. So my head wanted to cancel, and you know, I didn't, and I did the class, and halfway through the class, I just was like, I'm so glad I did this because I felt so amazing. And that is the thing that I always try to remind everybody, and I remind myself when you are, you know, when you don't feel like doing it, you know, and trust me, I have those days too, when you don't feel like doing it, it is remembering how you feel after, and that is the motivation to keep going. So I was so grateful that I had the exercise every day. So the things that I started to put into place is I knew, so once Lee was not well, I knew that I didn't know what was going to happen. I knew there was a chance that I could catch it too. So I have a very good immune system, so I seem to be really lucky with things like that, and in the end I didn't actually catch it. So in the end, I did multiple tests and I was negative the whole time. So, but you know, I seem to miss things, and you know, as a child, my brothers, I've got two brothers, and my two brothers both had chickenpox, and I remember touching their chickenpox because I wanted to get it, because I wanted time off school, and I never got it. So I kind of, in the back of my mind, I was like, maybe this will be the same as that. So I wasn't sure what was going to happen, so I thought, right, I need to prep as much food as possible. So this one day, I just prepped all this food because number one, we couldn't go to the shops. I obviously had people that could go into the shops for me and bought me food, but I wanted to use what I had first and not waste anything. But I also thought I need to prep as much food as possible so that if I happen to catch it as well, I know that there's good food for us to eat, good food for my kids to eat, and good food for me and my husband to eat, because that obviously eating well is going to help you in your recovery. Depending, I know some people feel like they lose their appetite, but so I made sure, so I went on this one day and I just prepped all this food I had. So I like to make sauces up in bulk, so I made, made sauces up, and I individually bagged them. And I also was trying to make sure I didn't waste any food, so I used the food that I had, so I also knew how much food I had, because I didn't know, I wasn't able to go to the shops. So I prepped all the food. I made, I knew we kind of had nothing sweet, so I made cakes and I made other stuff. So I thought, well, my kids helped me make the cakes, which was a fun activity for them, trying to keep them busy as well. So I made sure that I had good food. So that was my first step, was making sure that with the food that I had good food available for everybody. So if it meant that while I was feeling well, it was if I happened to catch it and start not feeling well, then I knew that I still had good food available for us to eat. That was just really a matter of reheating. So I did that, and that was great, and it also saves a lot of time in the future. People that don't prep food, try it. It is amazing. It makes such a difference. And I've prepped for years, and I've worked out a way that works with my lifestyle. But I love prepping, and I love prepping what it does for me. The time it gives me back, that I can still have good food, and it is amazing. So the first thing I did was I prepped food. The second thing is I thought I need to prioritize some form of exercise. Exercise makes me feel good. I had my classes, so I had them online, which I was very grateful for. So I had them, but I also was like, okay, what else can I be doing to have some time for myself, or some time, with that. So I luckily have a treadmill. I have a treadmill, and I have iFit on my treadmill, which is amazing. And so with iFit, you can run or walk wherever in the world. So I have all these different destinations, and I love it. So I was able to do things on my treadmill, and I made that a priority that I at least did that once a day, and it was, so I broke up my day in kind of sections, so I'd have my morning class in the morning, and then I'd get the kids organized, and then, I would get them doing an activity outside or something else. We were lucky, it was good weather, we had the pool. So I would do an activity and then I'd have my other classes, and then I might have some other things that I had to do. So I kind of split my day up around them, but I knew that there was things I had to prioritize for myself so that I was good, so I could be good for everybody else. Because there was, I guess, at that point, I just wasn't sure what was going to happen. You know, my husband wasn't well. I wasn't sure whether I was going to catch it. Wasn't sure whether the kids were going to catch it. You know, didn't know. So the first thing I did was I prepped food. The next thing is I thought, how can I make sure I could prioritize exercise? So I made sure that I was like, okay, let's go once a day. At least if I could do 20 minutes or something on the treadmill, made sure that I did that. And I don't feel guilty for doing that, because that is the bit that keeps me sane, which makes me a better mum. It makes me better for my kids. It makes me, and they understand that. So they're like, so I would be like, if you've watched this TV show, I'm just going here on the treadmill. Or they would play a game next to me while I was on the treadmill. You know, so we did that. The next thing I did was I also made sure that I was, a way that I find helps me relax and stay stress-free, reduce my stress. And it was a stressful time. There was lots of different other things going on all at the same time, which is the way it always happens, is I put in meditation. It is something that I used to never do, something I didn't see the benefit of it, but it's something that I do now and I love it. So I love, there is a breathwork meditation that I love, and I have some videos that I really enjoy. So I made sure that I did that daily, and I just made it happen. I made it fit in, and the breathwork meditation is amazing. I first probably started doing it maybe nearly a year ago. I had heard on a podcast somebody talking about it, and they said how they changed their whole life, and they went to a class by accident, and they did a class and they were there for 4 hours. But it's great. And it really, really relaxes me, and it keeps me. So I made sure that I put that in daily. There is always spots in your day that you can do this, and so the meditation goes for about 20 minutes. So I made sure that I put it in. I put that in because I needed to keep my stress low so I could be good for everybody else. I obviously had, all my members of, all my clients, all my members, all of them that I needed to be good for as well, but I also needed to be supporting my family and that stuff. So I wanted to make sure that I could be the best that I could be and not let the stress and the worry get to me at that point. So that was the next thing that I thought, right, I have to make sure I'm putting this in. So first thing was prepping food, so I had food organized. The next thing was prioritizing exercise, so making sure I know exercise worked for me, making sure that I had that in my day, every day. And then I made sure I put in the meditation. And I love the breathwork meditation, and I feel so great when it finishes. So if you've never tried it, I would try a breathwork meditation. It's great. I really, really recommend it. I, for so long, struggled with meditations because I couldn't quiet my mind. I couldn't stop. I think they call it a monkey mind. I couldn't stop the chatter and the going on. But through doing it more regularly, I've been able to learn to, I guess, quieten the mind, and it's so good. And now I love it. I love how relaxed I feel after, and it really helps me have a smooth day. So some days I did it twice a day, so then I made sure that I put in, I made sure I put in the meditation, those breathwork meditations, and I did them daily because I wanted to make sure that I was being calm. So they were some of the things I implemented. I then had them in. I made sure every day I was reminding myself of things I was grateful for. This event that's happened, what good things I could see in it. I know that's easier said than done, but I really made a conscious effort to regularly think about and say to myself, oh, I'm so lucky I get to spend this extra time with my kids. And I was grateful for so many things, and I'm grateful for the lessons that always come out of any event. But it was something I made a conscious decision to remind myself of what I was grateful for. And because it's easy when you're in a stressful situation, I think, to get bogged down with the negatives, or get bogged down with all the stress. And nobody needed that for me. Nobody needed that. So I was constantly reminding myself of the things, and I was just thoughts in my head. I really do love journaling, but I didn't write anything out like that. I just was, constantly thinking what I was grateful for, and what I was grateful for in this situation. I was grateful for that I did get to spend extra time, real forced quality time with just me and my kids. That I was so grateful that everybody, all of my clients, embraced the online classes, and they were, all came on. I was so grateful that they all showed up every day, because they motivated me to keep working out. And I constantly reminded me of those things, because that stuff helps you. And you remember that, gratitude is, something I really, I think about a year ago, I started to think of the things I was grateful for, and I'd never really thought about it before, but it's good. And you realize how lucky you are, just it can be basic stuff like, I'm grateful for the house we have, my car, I'm grateful for my kid, just thinking of all those basic things that we end up kind of taking for granted. So that was the other thing that I really put into place. I'm one that prioritizes sleep anyway, so I don't really have late nights. I was, going to bed as early as I could, again, because I knew that I didn't need to be tired. I didn't need my kids to be tired. I needed to be on the ball for things for them. I needed to keep it upbeat. They couldn't, because I separated the house, and Lee was worried that he would pass it on to them. They couldn't see their dad, so we were FaceTiming and all those things. That's just what we did in our house. Some people laughed at me when I said that we did that, but we did. But that's what we did. So because of all that, my kids, I really knew my son is quite anxious, so he didn't need me not being on the ball. He needed me to be on the ball more than anything to keep him okay. And so sleep is something I do always prioritize. So, I would like to, because I guess when they go to bed, sometimes that's the only part of the day that you do get on your own. And I love that time, and I'm sure all parents can relate. But I love that. But if that means that I'm then going to be more tired the next day if I stay up late, it's not the things that happen when we're tired, it's not worth it to me. So, when we're tired, we tend to make poorer food choices. We tend to am more stressed, more irritable, all of those things. And I knew that the situation that I was in was stressful enough. I didn't need to add to that. So sleep was a priority as well. And I made sure, and I pretty much went to bed after the kids went to bed. So obviously it's nice to have that time on your own, but sometimes I view it as, well, I could spend an extra 2 hours once they go to bed, say doing things, or watching a movie or doing something else like that. I could spend that time doing that, but then I would pay for it for the next, for the 12 hours or 16 hours of the day that you're awake. Is that worth it to me? No. So I just went to bed early when the kids went to bed. So then I knew as well that recovery happens while you're sleeping. So I was obviously exercising a lot more because I had to do the classes, people live with the classes, so I had to do them. So I need to prioritize my recovery for that, so I could be good for the next class the next day, and also to make sure that I wasn't tired, I wasn't grumpy, I wasn't irritable, because you're obviously in a house all with everybody all the same time, and you can get irritated at people, but I feel like we had a really smooth. It ended up being longer. It ended up being really like we had to do longer because in the end, my kids caught it as well. Again, I did not. My kids did, but my kids had no symptoms. So I tested them because Lee was positive and we were in the house. So I just tested them to be sure. And then it turns out that they were positive as well. So they had no symptoms, but we had to stay down another 7 days because that was the guidelines. We had to make sure 7 days from the time that they were tested. So we did that, which was all fine, but I feel like we really got through the time pretty well. I feel like these are the things that I knew, and I've been through different stressful times before, and sometimes I didn't make the best choices. I had a really stressful time, which I have spoken about once before on here, and I ate Maltesers. I used to eat Maltesers for my dinner and all that other stuff, and I just knew that wasn't going to help me in this situation. I think I'm a bit older and a bit wiser, and I know the things that work for me. So I made sure I put them all into place. So the things I did, going over it again, is I made sure I prepped my food, and I made sure we had good food made up. And if it meant that I was going to be sick as well, then I knew that we had food that we could easily eat, but was going to be good and nutritious for us. Not eating junk, because when you already feel crappy, you don't want to eat crappy food on top of that. You want to eat good food to fuel your body. So I did that. I prioritized exercise. I made sure when I could fit in exercise for me. And sometimes my exercise is never perfect. Sometimes when I exercise, my kids are jumping all over me, or they're next to me, or they're joining me, or they're running it. But it doesn't matter. Any little bit of exercise is better than nothing. So I made sure I did some form of movement each day. So I did that. I made sure the movement. I did the meditations, the breathwork meditations. Some mornings I did yoga as well, because I love yoga. But the breathwork meditation I find really helps me relax. And you don't have to do these things, but just think of something that works for you, that helps you relax, helps you switch your mind off. So it can be reading, it can even be playing a video game. Watching Netflix can be a way to switch off as well. But the meditations really help me relax, and I love them. So I made sure I did that daily. I practiced gratitude. So each day I was reminding myself of what I was grateful for, and I was really conscious about it. And I was kind of really strict about all these things, because I just knew I knew more than anything that had to really happen, because I needed to be the best version of myself for my family in that couple of weeks, And I don't do this stuff every day. There's times that I do more meditations. Sometimes I don't get it fitted in, but I knew in this circumstance I really had to prioritize it. And the last thing was I prioritized sleep, because sleep makes a difference to everything. So it really helped me, and I feel like we survived the week the couple of weeks pretty well, with having those things into place. I also accepted the situation. I wasn't going to also focus on, and that's part of practicing gratitude, is if you focus on that you can't go out, or you're not allowed to do things, that's only bringing in more negative energy, and it's not really going to help. So I just didn't, I accepted the situation. This is the situation we're in. There's nothing, this is something I can't really change. So I'm just accepting it, and I'm going to make the best of this moment. and I think we did. The kids, I hate going in the pool, and I went in the pool every day with them. and they were very excited that I did that. And I don't like going in the pool, but I did it for them. So accepting the situation, and I think accepting it and not focusing on the things I couldn't really control is also a big factor in helping. So I think these are all part of things that come from my toolbox that I've learned through time, and I've learned what works for me, and I know to put them in place. And what I feel is what I take from this scenario, and I'm hoping to help you guys, if you're in whether you're in the same situation of somebody in your family or yourself getting COVID. If you've got COVID yourself, you're probably not able to do exercise or any of those things, just depending how you are. But if you are a family member and, but even in any stressful situation, I think it's like going, okay, this is the situation I'm in. What are the things that are going to work for me so I can be the best version of myself to help the people that need me to help them? And that's what I did, and I felt like I was able to be there for everybody, and everybody was able to get their needs met. My husband, my children, and me as well. And I was able to stay sane by putting those things into place. And and everybody says, oh, I don't have enough time. How do you find the time? We all have the same amount of time in the day, and you have the time to do it. It's just prioritizing it. And it was a priority to me. So, making sure that I fitted in a meditation every day was more important to me than watching TV or flicking through social media on my phone. It was so much more important, and it was a priority. Fitting in exercise again was such a bigger priority than those other things. My kids are my priority, but they knew, but exercise was a thing. Getting those things in is the thing that makes me better for them. So then I have this bit of time for myself, then I can spend, my quality time with them. So if you are in a stressful situation, just really think about what are the things that work for you, and how can you put them into place in the situation you're in to keep you good, because you need to be good, you need to be sane, you need to be feeling good about yourself, so then you can be better to help and support the people around you. So if you know anybody that this would help, please share it to them. And if you have been able to put any of these things into place, please let me know. These are all things from my toolbox, which is what we go through in my programs, such as the Little Black Dress Project. And you, when you learn the toolbox, you find your own toolbox, you create it all, and you see what works for you. And then you start putting these things into place, and everything runs so much smoother. All right, I will speak to you again soon. Have a great day. Thanks for listening to the Elliott's PT podcast. I hope you have been able to find this information of use to you. If you know someone who might enjoy this podcast, please share it with them, and ensure that you subscribe so you can be the first to know when new podcasts are released. If you have the time to leave a 5-star review, that would be amazing, and it would be greatly appreciated. If you do so, please screenshot and share onto any of our socials and tag us. Then email the screenshot to hello@elliotspt.com, and we will send you a free gift to your inbox. Thanks so much. Have an amazing day. Speak soon.